Hey, everybody's favorite topic, audits, right?
Always their favorite topic.
Fantastic. You hear that word and it just still scares me to death to this day. But the IRS has changed, right? Technology has changed how things happen. I don't know that everybody understands what's going on. So before we talk about how do we protect ourselves so we don't have to be scared anymore, fill us in on what's happening with audits and technology and why we need to be a little more aware of it than we used to.
So what happened is maybe 3 tax seasons ago, at the end of the year, the IRS actually shut down. I had 90 days where I couldn't submit a tax return.
I remember that.
So they said, no more tax returns. Don't do it. Don't send them in. It was right after the 10/15 deadline, right, that everyone was submitting. And what they were doing is they were updating software and hardware to do just that for audit letters. The problem is, if you think about the IRS budget, for example, so their current budget's about $11.1 billion. It used to be about $11.8 billion. So each year, maybe that budget goes down a little bit. But what are they tasked to do? They're tasked to collect even more money. So what they have to do is figure out, okay, I got to be able to collect money that doesn't cost me as much. Face-to-face audits cost a lot. Tax court costs a lot. So what they came up with was this audit letter, right? This is how I'm going to do them. So the system now does a lot of it. The system actually kind of sends them out without any person interaction or seeing them. It's just done by system. And what the IRS will do is they'll match up information. So W-2s, they'll match up 1098s, 1099s that people are sending in. All this stuff, the computer just matches it up. Any discrepancy, boom, triggers an audit letter, goes out. They'll look at business expenses and revenues. What are my correlations between revenues and expenses based on the type of industry that I'm in? By the way, that's why you put your occupation on there. Did you know that?
Yeah.
They want to lump you into categories. And so they can look at everyone within those categories, find out the outliers, and then the system will send them out an audit letter. Hey, support all this information that you have in there, because it's just too expensive to do person-wise. It's estimated that roughly 71% of all audits now are done by letter. 71%. And every year that goes up a little bit. Why? Because they're so effective. It's super cheap and they collect a lot of money. So it's easy for them to send them out. So from my standpoint, what you need to be is prepared to receive an audit letter every year you do a tax return.
So the odds of us getting an IRS letter seem to be going up every year. They're leveraging technology. They're using technology. It costs them less money. So many people just write a check and be done with it. So if the odds of that happening to me are going up each year, what are the things that you as a professional are going to help me do? What things do I need to be doing so that I can A, hopefully avoid it, but B, when it comes, I don't need to be worried about it.
Right. So part of it, I guess I'd break it into 2 categories. If you get an audit letter, the best thing for you to do is bring me that audit letter. Let me interact with the IRS. So part of the problem is people try to interact with the IRS on their own. Okay, I interact with the IRS all the time. You don't. So I probably have a sense of how to do it. You probably don't. You probably get frustrated. They have all kinds of tactics that they utilize about mailing stuff in and how long it takes them to get back to you and deadlines they put on you and vice versa. So I would say first, bring it to me and let me handle that type of situation. Second thing is we would have to talk about documentation, right? What is the support that you have for your particular tax return? Let's go through it. What's your information? How are you keeping your records? Let me look at them and go through it with you. So that's the importance of having someone that you can work with that can see that information and tell you, hey, you're kind of light on some of this stuff, or some of this stuff looks a little bit odd. Let's talk about it. Let's go through it. But it's being able to help you have the support. The second thing is having someone like me interact with the IRS on your behalf.
So are there certain areas, and I know there's a lot of things here. So maybe just looking for a couple low-hanging fruit for us to be aware of. But are there certain areas as my taxes are prepared that I should maybe pay more attention to than others?
Let me give you a general thing. If the IRS suspects you enjoy it, they're going to look at it more closely. So what does that tell you? Meals, travel, automobile, hotels, right? Restaurants, retreats, all those things that the IRS would say, hey, that's too fun. If you're having fun, I'm not going to allow that as a deduction, right? I mean, that's part of the way that they kind of view this stuff. So, but on the flip side, it could absolutely, hands down, 100% be a deduction. Right. So that just tells me on those particular areas, we just need to be more vigilant about our support.
You're going to go through with a fine tooth comb. You're going to make sure I do it so that at the end of the day, you're going to save me pain down the road.
That's right. So if an audit letter comes, say, hey, Greg, I already have scanned all your documentation in here.
Great.
Right. I already have all that stuff. I'm just going to put our response together and send it off.
One thing that I've heard you talk about in the past, so I hope you can remember as I just hit you off the top of your head, but when they ask you for your occupation, there's some strategy there too, isn't there?
Right. So this is So what I like to do is I like to be as benign as possible. I mean, do you honestly think I put CPA as my occupation on my tax return? I do not. I put things that like manager.
Yeah.
Like I'm in sales, I will put just like sales. Or retail.
Yeah.
You know, I'll put things that make it more difficult for them to categorize you. Like I may not put physician or something like that. I may try to come up with a more colorful or different way to describe those things. So I like very benign, general topics like manager, sales, stuff, information like that.
And as I understand it, to make sure I understand it right, the reason there is, again, when that system automatically begins to match things and look for those outliers, it's much more difficult for it to find those outliers. The more general that I am in the more general
on my occupation. Correct.
Great. Well, I hope none of you end up getting one of those letters, but I'm going to bet a lot of you already have. I'm going to bet a lot of you are smiling and wish you would have done things differently. But at the end of the day, there's nothing to be afraid of.
No.
I think we just need to plan on and bank on the fact that we're probably going to see one at some point in our life if we're running a business.
Sure. But as long as you're supporting it, as long as you have your documentation, working with a good CPA, there's nothing to fear.
We know it's important for you to keep your business running smoothly. Here at Tax Hive, we stand ready to help with all of your tax and business needs so that you can focus in on what it is that you do best, and that's running your business. We have an entire team of experts who stand ready to help you out. Schedule a strategy session with one of our specialists today.